My name is Emil. I'm a digital ad strategist and I answer marketing questions. This is episode 43 and it's about targeting your competition in Google search ads. This question is from Reddit and it's from Vasavid. He says, what is the best way to target competitors in Google search? Are there any restrictions towards targeting brand names? Is it okay to put multiple competitor keywords in the same campaign or better to split the campaigns, pros and cons? And then alternatives to X. Is this the main way to present your solution against competitors in Google headlines? I get this question quite often from clients and consultation calls, so I'm going to answer it on 3 layers in this video. What I'm going to cover is the do's and don'ts of creating competitor search ads, my strategy for when I do run competitor search ads, and then just my long-term experience with it and some tips and tricks and some things to think about as you're creating your campaigns. But first, every Sunday, I send out one email that recaps all the marketing questions I answered that week. If you want to stay up to date on best practices, strategies, and become an overall stronger marketer, I think you would really enjoy this recap. It would mean the world to me if you could subscribe to the newsletter and my YouTube channel. Now, back to the answer. Let's tackle the first part of that question. It's just what will Google allow and what they won't allow in competitor search ads. And just like every other platform, Facebook, Meta, Bing, TikTok, they have their rules, but they are not consistent. If you're targeting a brand name like Bounty, then you're going to have an issue. If you're targeting a brand name like IBM or Apple or Google, you're going to have an issue. The more prominent the brand, the more likely Google's going to pause your ads or tell you you have limited reach due to using restricted brand terms. Now, the less prominent of the brand, the more free game it is. Just like the real world and the streets, the more money you have, the more insulated you are from competition. The less money you have, the more free reign it is. And I'll tell you, as running campaigns for small businesses where they were exploited by larger companies directly using their names in search ads, we tried everything we could to stop them, but it just was to no avail. When this was in 2016, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. This happens every year at least once or twice to a client of mine. And the bigger the company that does this, the harder it is for us to get any movement. So yes, you can run competitor names in your ads and your keywords, but if they are really popular, their name stays, then you're going to have issues and Google will reject it. So if your comp is small to medium businesses, you're totally great. If they're bigger businesses or corporations, you're going to run into some issues. The next question is all about structuring your competitor campaign. Do you have one campaign with multiple competitor keywords, or do you have multiple campaigns with single competitor keywords in it? This is the diagram that I use when I do structure a strategy around our competition and why I do it. When structuring my Google search competitor campaigns, I'll often open up just one campaign group and then underneath it create ad groups for each competitor. So let's say I'm in the action camera space and I sell an action camera that's similar to a GoPro. There's Fuji makes one, Sony makes one. So my competitor campaign, competition 1 maybe GoPro, competition 2 Sony, competition 3 DJI Pro or whatever they're called. So each one of these is now structured that I'm targeting only that competitor. And the strategy that I go after campaigns for titles and ad copy is I try not to say we're a better alternative to X. So if I'm going after GoPro and I have an action camera, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the weaknesses of my competitor against them. So by using their weaknesses, GoPros overheat. So let's say my action camera doesn't overheat. Instead of saying better alternative to GoPro or we kick GoPro's butt or something like that, I'm going to say an action camera that doesn't overheat. Now I've got a pain point inside of somebody that they're like, I don't like that my GoPro overheats as often. I'm going to click that ad. Or an action camera that has twice the battery life. These are pain points that we can hit up in our ad copy that are much more likely to get the people who are searching for our competitors to click on our ad. My overall advice to clients and consultation calls is just don't do it. I don't run competitor campaigns because as long as I have been doing this, I get consistent results. This is across SaaS space, service space, product space, consumables, clothing, you name it. The results are almost identical. The stats are quite simply atrocious for bounce rate. So people who see your ad, and even though you have the right ad copy, you're being clever about it, when they click it, they think they're going for what they search for. So if I'm looking for GoPro, I say an action camera doesn't overheat. In my mind, I might be like, man, I didn't know GoPros don't overheat anymore. I click it and I see a completely different brand. I'm going to bounce out. More than 95% of people bounce before 3 to 5 seconds is up. So that's number one. You're paying to have people leave your site. Number two, you'll get an overall low quality score on the keywords you're bidding. So if I'm bidding on GoPro, I immediately am going to have a low quality score because I'm not GoPro. And that hurts because it's going to drive up my cost overall to market. And if these people are just bouncing off my site, those two combinations go to our third factor. How could that be profitable for us? Rarely is it profitable. The biggest campaigns I know, I try to deter them from this just because the stats work against us. I like to focus on us. When you're creating campaigns around keywords like GoPro, we're focusing on our competition. And instead of focusing on the competition and saying GoPro, we should focus on our competition's weaknesses with outbound marketing. So instead of using Google search, if we're targeting GoPro users or Sony users, what we need to do is we need to pull in Google Display, Facebook and Instagram, and YouTube. And we want to create campaigns that focus on those pain points. So now, somebody who's looking for a GoPro, they're going to go and they have the intent to find a GoPro. You run a search ad in front of them. They're going to bounce. It's going to cost you money. You're going to have a low quality score. Bad, bad, bad. But you run a YouTube campaign for those same people who are looking for GoPros, specifically GoPros, and they're browsing GoPro reviews and they see an ad say, if you're thinking about buying an action camera, look at this one that doesn't overheat. Now I've touched on a pain point for that user and I'm building brand awareness. We want to focus on what makes us different. With outbound marketing, what we want to do is we want to position ourselves for people who already have a brand name in their mind, and we want to display our unique selling propositions in a fun, unique storytelling way. You want to show those differences. You don't want to tell them. With Google search, you got to tell, but with YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, Reels, TikTok, you can show those differences. And you can target people who are looking to purchase your competitor's product and then get in front of them with outbound marketing, explaining to them your unique selling proposition through really creative ways. I hope this helps. I really don't encourage you to run a Google search competitor campaign, especially if it's early on or you're limited by budget. If you found any value in this, it would mean the world to me if you could like the video, subscribe, and just let me know if you have any other questions. As always, good luck and happy marketing.